Welcome, coin collectors and treasure hunters. In today's video, we're taking a closer look at the Jefferson Nickel, a fascinating piece of American history that could be worth far more than 5 cents in exceptional condition. We'll explore its history, rare full steps examples, mint errors, grading, and the auction prices that make certain nickels highly desirable. So, before you spend that old nickel, the 1952 Jefferson 5-cent nickel is an interesting and often misunderstood coin in American numismatics. Although it is sometimes promoted online as an ultra-rare or bicentennial nickel, the 1952 issue itself is not a U.S. bicentennial coin. The American bicentennial occurred in 1976. The ordinary 1952 Philadelphia Jefferson nickel had a substantial mintage of 63,988,000 pieces, so circulated examples are generally common rather than rare. What makes certain 1952 nickels genuinely valuable is their exceptional condition, full steps detail, proof status, or major mint errors. In particular, the finest condition pieces can command thousands of dollars because collectors compete intensely for coins that combine exceptional preservation with a sharp strike. PCGS records an auction result of $3,995 for a regular 1952 MS67 Plus example, while full steps examples have reached considerably higher prices. The historical story of the 1952 Jefferson nickel places it firmly in the post-war era of American coinage. The Jefferson Nickel series began in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel, and was designed by Felix Schlag, whose portrait of Thomas Jefferson became one of the most recognizable designs in U.S. coinage. The 1952 Philadelphia issue was produced at the Philadelphia Mint and carries no mint mark, while Denver and San Francisco produced separate 1952 issues bearing their respective D and S mint marks. The year came during a period of major change in the United States, including the Korean War, and American coinage was still using the traditional copper-nickel composition for ordinary nickels. The Philadelphia issue's nearly 64 million piece production means that its historical importance comes less from absolute scarcity and more from its place in the development of the Jefferson Nickel series and the challenge of finding exceptional survivors from this era. From a design perspective, the 1952 Jefferson Nickel has the classic specifications collectors expect from the series. The obverse displays Thomas Jefferson facing left, with "In God We Trust" along the left side and "Liberty," followed by a star and the date 1952 on the right. The reverse features Jefferson's famous Virginia home, Monticello, with "E Pluribus Unum" above and "United States of America" and 5 cents surrounding the building. The coin measures approximately 21.2 millimeters, weighs 5 grams, has a plain edge, and consists of 75% copper and 25% nickel. These specifications make it immediately recognizable as a classic Jefferson nickel. For advanced collectors, however, the most important visual feature may be the staircase beneath Monticello, because a coin with sharply defined steps can qualify for the coveted full steps FS designation. The greatest value difference comes from understanding condition and strike quality. A worn 1952 Philadelphia nickel normally has little premium over face value, whereas a beautifully preserved mint state specimen can be worth substantially more. PCGS estimates that roughly 51 million 1952 Philadelphia nickels survive in all grades, with an estimated 110,000 surviving in MS60 or better, and approximately 57,500 in MS65 or better. The population becomes dramatically scarcer at the very highest grades, with PCGS identifying MS67 as a rare level for the issue. More importantly, fully defined Monticello steps are difficult to find because the dies and striking characteristics of many Jefferson nickels prevented complete detail from appearing on the reverse. This creates a separate layer of conditional rarity. The date itself is common, but a high-grade 1952 nickel with genuinely complete full steps can be exceptionally desirable. When discussing market value, it is important not to claim that every 1952 nickel is worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. In ordinary circulated condition, the coin is generally inexpensive, while attractive mint state examples can bring a modest premium. Recent public auction records illustrate the difference. One 1952 Philadelphia Jefferson nickel graded MS65 PES sold for $65 in November 2025, while MS67 Plus NGC examples sold for $600 in July 2024. A much more important result was an MS66 Plus PCGS full steps example that sold for $2,160 in 2022, demonstrating how much the FS designation can change the market. The major benchmark remains a $9,400 auction record for a 1952 MS66 full steps PCGS nickel, recorded at Stack's Bowers in 2012. These results show why grade, strike, I appeal, certification, and rarity must all be considered before assigning a value. There are also other 1952 Jefferson Nickels that deserve attention, particularly the 1952D and 1952S issues. The Denver coin had a mintage of 30,638,000, considerably lower than Philadelphia, and high-grade full steps examples can be especially difficult to locate. A spectacular 1952 DMS67 full steps PCGS specimen sold for $4,320 in 2021, while PCGS lists an earlier auction record of $16,450 for a 1952 DMS67 at Heritage Auctions in 2015. The San Francisco issue had a mintage of 20,572,000, and although circulated examples